me on that
We don't need to know what was said.
Wow.
This is why you can't have 3 Marines in the same room.
Wow. He just put it.
It was so calculated. I
Had that planned.
Every now and then, this dude amazes me, man. I tell you. Man. Welcome to the Project Fitful podcast, where we sit here with guests, with friends, with, certified people, and we talk about how they figured it the F out. I got my media guy, Tony, over here cracking us the hell up. I'm telling you. Woo, it was funny. So, got a special guest, man, and you got a little something on your shirt, by the way.
Do I?
Yeah, is that you good? Okay, or is that part of the shirt? That is part of the shirt. Okay,
That's probably part of the shirt.
okay.
Yeah,
I was over here trying to help you out.
maybe birthday cake, it might be something.
Yes, because it is my man, my main man. Let me give you a proper introduction, man. This is Maurice Pless. Damn, I said your whole full government name. Your government name.
Nobody ain't looking for me.
I call him Maurice. A lot of other people do. He goes by Ken. He goes by Kenny. You got more AKAs, I don't know what, but he goes by especially Unc. That is his nickname at South Bay Trading Facility, Dallas.
I am the Unc.
Yes, he goes by Unc. And today is his birthday. So happy birthday, my brother.
Thank you.
My man.
Thank you.
And you
appreciate
Hey.
it.
And how old are you today?
Man, I am 41 young.
41.
Damn.
Hey.
I mean, you said that. Like,
Yeah.
are we okay?
I'm good.
You good?
Kevin Hart reference.
Yeah. You did say damn, you could have said it better, man.
I mean, you look great.
I'm like,
Like, you are stunning right now. You look
this
gorgeous.
is my last time being on. Go ahead, finish.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, I do not want this podcast to be a murder scene. All right. So let's see here. We're going to talk about your journey, where you come from. This is going to be fun. Obviously, as you know, me and Maurice have been friends for almost 17 years. 17 years? 17 years.
Yeah.
17 years.
Lot of time.
Long time. And we're going to talk a little about how we met. But we're going to talk about yourself prior to, because this is about you. This is about how you figured it the F out. We want to dive in. We're going to get personal. Whatever you don't want to talk about, you don't have to talk about. That's on you. But, we want you to be able to let the audience know, your trials and tribulations, how you got to where you're at today, because you're actually, on the brink of being a very successful entrepreneur, because you've been working hard towards it, and it's starting to flow really well. So we want to get into all that. So let's first start off with where you from. You already said how old you are, and and tell us a little bit about your background growing up.
Well, born and raised from Atlanta, Georgia.
Can you come just a little closer to me, please? Thank you.
Like I said, born and raised from Atlanta, Georgia. I had, grew up with 2 brothers. I got my older brother and I had my little brother. Of course, I had my sisters, but, they didn't live in the house with me. So, again, it was just, me and my brothers. So it was, I'm the middle kid. And I was the true middle kid. You know what I mean? I was the rebellious one. I was the one that was always into stuff. You know what I mean? I was the one that mom just like, this kid, you know what I mean? But through it all, after, graduating high school, my first, fitful moment happened is, I'm out of high school. I went from a star halfback. I had a scholarship to Troy State, Division I, and I didn't go take the SAT. That was just not my thing. School was not it for me, and me and Tess was like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? So that right there just got me into that moment of I had to really figure it out. And I remember, being at my dad's house. I worked for FedEx. I was doing that overnight, and that was killing me. I remember one time almost falling asleep, and I was like, you know what, this ain't it. So I'm at my dad's house, and I got the phone call, and I still remember Sergeant Morgan of United States Marine Corps, and I'm like, screw it, let's do it. You know what I mean? And at that
And how
moment,
old were you at this time?
At that moment, I had graduated high school at 17, and then my birthday came like right after. Then I turned 18. So I was 18 years old. Birthday was getting ready to come up within like a month or so. But at that moment, you know, I was like, hey, I gotta figure something out. I ain't going to school. This working thing ain't happening. No, I gotta figure something out. You know, I did try community college, Atlanta Metro. So I did that for like a semester. But again, it was like, this ain't it. I'm not playing no sports. And you just want me to go to school? And it's like, it ain't it. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps. Went there. I was in a delay entry, 30 days maybe. Like I was like, hey, I'm ready to go. Let's go ahead and do it. I went before my birthday, everything. Like I didn't care. Like I needed to figure something out. So my journey started. You know, got into there. You know, got through boot camp. Got out. Went through my NCT, went to school, and
So MCT, Marine Combat Training, we got to make sure everybody understands
Marine
that.
Combat Training. You
Yeah,
know, once
yeah.
I got out of Marine Combat Training, you know, I went to my military occupation school, which was artillery.
Okay. So pull string,
Yeah, pull, scream, and boom.
pull string, and boom. Got it.
That's it. It's fun.
Now we're not talking like just a little
No.
bing. Like we're
No.
talking like 5-man like team that has to, you know, like pull and the big guns.
Oh yeah. It was fun. But again, you know, we had our fun moments. You know, anything that happens, like I said, between the trails stays between the trails. So I'm gonna leave that at that. I'm not gonna go
Got
there.
it.
But no, it was definitely an adventure. You know, again, this kid coming from, you know, Atlanta, Georgia. You know, I did have a big family, but you know, leaving from there, going into Oklahoma. You know, that's where my school was at. Over there on Fort Sill, over there with the Army, where they had that good food coming out of boot camp. Like, get treated like kings over here. What is like? I need to question where I went, but no.
And for everybody's knowledge, the reason why you say that is because the Marine Corps is always do more with less.
Absolutely,
And that includes food.
Food, yes.
Yeah, sleep.
But again, yes. I look at it now as it built character.
Absolutely.
Definitely built
100% built character. Yeah.
Leaving from out of there, and then I got to my first duty station. My first duty station, I got to sunny California, and that's where everything really kind of like blossomed for me. That's when it really like started to hone down. You know, I'm away from home. It's like now, got to figure out, get a car, you know, really starting to, you know, meet, you know, the actual Marines.
You're
and
about
stuff,
19
whatever.
at this
Yeah.
time?
So it's like, you know, out in California, it was like, don't really know nobody. So it's like, yeah, you started meeting friends and different that. So
Are you a city Georgia guy or
I'm
more
like
a country
I would
Georgia
call
guy?
myself more so, I would look at it as like a hybrid because I did both. You know, I lived in the city, like I said, East Point being there, recreation, you know, football and all that. But I also spent a lot of times in Hoganville, Georgia. So that's down there in the country. Like country. One red light, you know, we had one mechanic. You got the Piggly Wiggly. So it was fun. But everybody knew each
say
other.
Say that again. Say it again. Go ahead.
Had the Piggly Wiggly.
Hey, the
down there,
Piggly
you know?
Wiggly.
But
You
it
know
is.
you country. Well, hey, okay,
It
so the thing I want to know is that what was your, if you could date back, I mean, you talked about your athleticism, right? But let's talk about what other traits did you have that you thought you had during your coming up, you know, growing up of age before you joined the Marine Corps?
Well, of course. One of my things that I had of being that child that was always into things, like I had to be told when I go to stores, put my hands in my pockets, which was true because I've always touched a thing. But that grew a passion for putting things together. I started as a kid, like literally putting together entertainment centers and, you know, the old school with the back in it. I was putting together entertainment centers as a kid, you know, for the family and stuff like that. Taking part VCRs again. Sorry, telling my age a little bit, but yes, taking apart VCRs.
Video
for some of you-
cassette recorders.
Yes, for some that don't know what that is, yes. I was taking those apart, fixing those.
Yeah.
And also, my granddad was, a carpenter. So, looking at him, put things together, it was a time he redid, my parents, my patio and, turned it from a screen porch to an actual, call it like a den, if you want to say windows, the whole little shebang, you know what I mean? But I grew a passion for, putting things together and just working with my hands. And that's just something that, as time go on, it was like, nah, this is something that I love to doing. I started dapping into fixing cars. I started doing all type of stuff. And then, I really grew the passion with electronics, which I got my degree. I went to ITT Tech and I had my degree in computer electronic engineering. So that was something that I wanted to add to my repertoire, if you want to add.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's something that I wanted to, I got into the point of how can I use this eventually down the line? But now I'm building. I'm trying to figure out, what I want to do. And one thing is like, being a jack of all trades, anything I put myself into, teaching myself to drive, motorcycles, anything you can think of, I'm just put it in front of me and I'm gonna figure it out. And that just literally has been like my whole life is fitful. Anything that I get into, whether I'm joining a company, whether I'm, anything that I'm getting into, I'm literally figuring it out and I'm going to master it. That's my thing.
So you went into the Marine Corps, you went into artillery school, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. You got to your first duty station, sunny California, Camp Pendleton, I'm assuming. So Las Pogas.
Las Pogas.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Right. So which unit? 111, 211?
Oh no, 211.
211.
Yeah.
All right. So then Second Marines, or Second Battalion, 11th Marines.
There you go.
Right, there we go. Almost, right? And so now you're there, and you're 19 years old, and where do we go from there? What are we doing?
Yeah. So then, at that time, young, at my first duty station, one thing I started doing, what you call it, like MCIs. That's the school, getting extra points.
Marine Corps Institute. So it's got their books.
Yeah.
That, you can,
you have the books.
and then you can turn in the test and you get credit for it.
So, of course, those went towards, I know that they went towards, getting, towards promoted, but I had another plan with it, At the time, I can't remember the school that I had applied to, but I was trying to do the online schooling at the time. Because, again, now I'm forward thinking. School is out of the question. I was playing on the base team for like a little bit, but again, school is out of the question. I'm in the military. That's over. What am I gonna do next? So that's literally just where my mind just went at that time. Like, what am I gonna do? But then also, new duty station. He's young. What I mean? It's like it took. After my first, 4 years, I had to really kind of shake it out. I look at it as the first 4 years is like your first 4 years going to college. You want to party, you want to be with the guys, but, you're still trying to stay focused. You're still trying to do the things, but yet you're still, doing those things, whether you're going out clubbing or you're drinking, you're doing these things and stuff like that. So, focus, yeah, but I wasn't all the way locked in, and that's something that, I can't take back. But that's just something that I can just build off just going forward. So that was just a stepping stone. And, I just keep going forward after that. After my first 4 years, jump back in again. And then that's what I decided, I wanted to be a drill instructor. And, that was, went down.
So you
there.
did 4 years. Yeah. You were at Pendleton. You were already up at, and now you wanted to be a drill instructor.
Yeah. That was definitely, that was a good adventure. I was approached, after my first 4 years, being with 211, they wanted me to go back. I had went to Iraq. They wanted me to go back as a section chief. And I remember, the Master Sergeant, he kept on, he was at it. And I was like, listen, Master Sergeant, all due respect, either I'm going out to be a drill instructor or I'm getting out. So, yeah. I went in, when I checked in at the high school, drill instructor school, I went down there at 3.5 years. So I didn't even complete my first 4 years yet.
Oh, you were a fresh little puppy, weren't you?
I was. Hey,
Fresh little devil pup.
A lot of people ask, like, you got a uniform. You got like, look, I don't rate it yet. I don't. But
That's crazy.
I did E1 to E5, no meritorious promotions, in 3 years.
Wow.
So that was just, doing my training, staying up on my PFTs, just always trying to stay ahead, doing what I need to do. And again, like I said, going down to the to the drill instructor school, going out to the drill field, that was just another something that I needed to get to the another stepping stone. Because again, I did have a plan of longevity for us in the Marines, but things take their path as they take their path, and I accepted that route, and I roll with it. But
So how is drill instructor school?
Ooh, yeah. Drill instructor school. That right there, going from a recruit to being a Marine and then going back to drill instructor school, it's like, wow. Like, am I really physically fit? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it really, overall, again, something that, pushed me. It was a challenge. I mean, just the knowledge, the teach backs. Oh my God, them teach backs, like that was like, if anything I would say about drill instructors, it was the teach backs.
Because you had to memorize
you did.
drill movements and then
Yes.
have to repeat them back to the drill instructor instructors.
You're that recruit, and you get there and you running up there and you slap it on the headboard and you trying to get it off because you're trying to get signed off to make sure. Because if you don't get signed off, you're not coming out of there. So that was just a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Definitely to myself. But again, like I said, I made it.
Yeah. So you made through drill instructor school.
Yeah.
Now you going to actually do the work.
Yeah. So now it's time to put everything.
Talk about
that
your
I learned.
first cycle.
Ooh, first cycle. First cycle is always the one. I don't know about any other ones that went through it, but my first cycle was very interesting. We're not gonna go too much into it, but again, it was very interesting. I built a lot of personality and character that first cycle because, even going through drill instructor school and through a lot of things, you don't actually know till you actually get into it. That's just like you can train in the field, do all these things, whatever, but then it's game time. Then you're like, I remember, my first cycle, and I remember getting told, like, hey, all right, you're going to go run the deck. And I'm like, no clue what I was going to say.
And running the deck means going out into the squad bay. All the recruits are in the squad bay, and you're telling them what to do step by step, inch by inch, and you have to let it flow.
Yeah, you got to get a nice flow.
So well that they can hear you, number one, that they understand you, number two, and that they move as quickly as possible with speed and intensity.
Absolutely. So your term.
By the way, I don't know how I know all of this. That's just
okay. Your terminology has to be on point.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of things that's going through your head. You're going through, am I saying the right terminology? And then you have
now you've been away from it for since 2008.
Yeah, but
or 7, 8.
8.
Since 2008.
Yeah,
so 16 years you've been away.
And I literally can go back and I can nothing changed. I still remember like 9 days. Now there's some things, whatever, that I probably need to brush up on, but overall,
get online right now.
All that
2
good
sheets
stuff.
of the blanket in your hands right now.
Yeah. Are we talking about that? I know. But come to that just came into where I met this guy. Speaking of that, after that cycle, I learned a lot. I learned to, for one, speed and intensity, and definitely, perfect your craft.
Yeah,
that was big.
Yeah. All jokes aside, these are like the key. I would say the key things that play into where we're at today. Both me and you, is that a lot of people don't understand how we joke, we laugh, and all that stuff because there are a lot of funny stories when it comes to this. But when it comes to your character and your business acumen, the way you do business, the way you run your business, even in this, at this present stage, a lot of it would go back to those moments.
Oh yeah, definitely one thing, like I said, being on the drill field, your time management skills. That it literally sharpens your time management skills because there's so many things that you have to do. Being able to multitask, balance different things, which is it's a great platform for entrepreneurs or people because
Get closer.
if you want to run different avenues, whatever, that it teaches you that. Like you have to be on top of your game at any given time of the moment. Things can change. Like how are you going to react to it? How are you going to adapt? How are you going to get to this? How are you going to scale? How are you going to do
fit,
things? Exactly. How are you going to figure it out? And you ain't got nobody sitting there holding your hand like, hey, come here, let me show. No, it's
Most you got people berating you. Actually,
if anything, you got a foot coming in you, or somebody literally like, seriously, are you really?
Yeah.
You got now.
And the smack talking is what gets you. I mean, if you can hold your own, I think this is where we've learned the art of thick skin as well. You can, to be able to do things and have somebody literally berating you while you're doing it, and you can't do nothing about it, but just get the job done. And your actions speak more, and that's when people start to leave you alone. Is when you actually start performing.
You grow that thick skin real fast.
Amazing.
Fast.
So you met me.
Yeah.
Did you like me when you first met me?
No, I didn't. I did not. I repeat, I did not. Didn't.
I normally tell people, the guests, to speak to the camera on Gems. You're like speaking to the camera about how much you didn't like me.
I'm going to tell you, no, I did not like this guy whatsoever. Period. But
it was a different level of leadership.
It was. And again, like I said, after
mind you, when we met, I was already in the Marine Corps now. Let's see, seasoned. I was seasoned. So when we met, I had been in the Marine Corps 9 years, and so when we met, I was seasoned. I was already a staff sergeant as well. I was at E6. You were still in E5, and so when we met, they put me and you on the same team.
Yeah, by that time, I learned the tricks of the trade, and I became.
He was really good, by the way.
One of those guys.
He was really good, and I was really good. But we were, I would say,
some you don't put together.
Yeah, it's combustible putting us together, but they did it, and they said, "Well, we're going to see what you guys can do." And I was actually quite shocked that because I had already known you through a 3-month span from my cycle that I did when I met you, without you, and we had already mingled, so I got to know how intense and you were, and I was like, man, they're putting me with him. I was like, this is going to be one or two things, either the dream team or a complete nightmare. And
we flirted on the lines.
Yeah,
we did.
And but one thing I learned about you during that cycle was during that 3-month period of training recruits together. I mean, we were on a 3-hat team, which essentially meant it was just me and you. Yeah, because the senior drill instructor was normally gone. It was just me and him. And we're training, I think, we see you, Ross. It was like, shout out to Christopher Ross, man. We got to give him a quick shout out, man.
He introduced me.
Yeah. So we have, 80 recruits, 85 recruits, I think, at that time. And it was just me and you for 3 months.
Man.
24/7.
Hey, they see in our face day in, day out.
Yeah.
All day long.
That was an interesting time. But they graduated.
They did.
Yeah.
They were very disciplined.
Very disciplined. Yes, they were.
Very disciplined.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
And you were disciplined.
I don't know how to be that.
I know you hated me, but you were disciplined. So now we get done with that cycle, and we go into now. I went on to be a senior drill instructor. I believe you went to receiving.
Yeah, I ended up going to receiving.
And then so at that point, I had left, and I didn't. Me and you kind of. Didn't keep in touch because I went to Iraq as soon as the drill field was over. What happened with you? As much as you want to, provide. I mean, I know that some things happened and it caused you to end up getting out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Man, I'm fine with it. It is what it is. Around that time, I was in receiving. Doing fantastic, great. I was in the paper. I was being that face. What I'm saying, for us, like at the depot. And, I had a lapse in judgment, moment, and it was around the Marine Corps ball. And again, we know what we do around the Marine Corps ball. We was drinking. So, with drinking, it was like, for me, I'm fine. I'm good. It's no issues. Like, I can still remember the story. But, to the laws, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I was down in San Diego. I left location and, was riding around down there trying to get back home. I didn't have my GPS on because I'm like, nah, I can figure it out. No, that's not, you don't need to figure it out because I'm speeding down there and didn't know I was speeding. Then the police got behind me and, things led from there. And it was like, before you know it, I'm spending the night in jail. And then after that, we knows, when it comes to that, I had to go see, my command. And when I went to go see my command, there was a new CG at the time. And,
Commanding General.
Yeah, Commanding General. I'm sorry, I'm using these terminologies.
It's okay. It's okay. That's why I got you.
There was a new Commanding General that had just checked in, and at that time, love what I did, but I guess it was just a bad moment because when I went in there, it was like, I'm gonna make an example out of you, and I felt my whole heart and everything drop to my feet, and I was like, what? And when everything kind of got read off at that moment, it was like I got script of my rank, so I ended up losing rank at that time, which hurt me, and it hurt me more than I really realized. That lapse of judgment really hit me because my number was just up. So my number for me to get promoted to E6, so literally my number was right there. So not only did I get bumped back, but to me, it's like I lost 2 ranks.
2 ranks. At
that time. And that was a literally crushing moment, for me. And just trying to, build up, everything that I worked towards was like I literally just threw it down the drain from just a lapse in judgment moment. So I really had to come back from that. And at that time, it was like it was tough. I was trying to do my PFTs and I was trying to, get all my stuff in, but it was just like it's like chasing something that you just can't grab. And it came up to that point to where I didn't have a choice but to get out. So
because you reached for the rank you were at.
I reached my
you reached service limitations for that rank, which at the time you got busted down. You were in E4. Yeah. So with every rank. There's a service limitation that if you don't get to that next rank, then the Marine Corps says you got to go.
Yeah, you got to go. Yeah.
So you reached that point. So how did that feel?
Man, it was defeat. I felt like I really let myself down. It was man, that was a defining moment. Whether I was gonna pick myself up or just fall into a hole and crumble. It was like, the Marine Corps is like, this is my life. I've took this on and this is me. I moved up very fast. I was doing great. And then it's like this moment, like literally defined all that. And it was just thrown away. So, yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough.
Well, I want to dive into that real quick.
Yeah.
So, this is a great teaching moment. It's a teachable moment, I think, for you to everyone else. You lost not only 2 ranks, essentially. You were a combat veteran, so you went to Iraq.
Yep.
You skipped the opportunity to go back to Iraq,
right?
So you can go be a drill instructor.
Right.
You go be a drill instructor, which is in the eyes of the Marine Corps is one of the epitome of being a Marine.
Absolutely.
Because now you're training
That's
recruits
the
to
first
be Marines,
phase.
right? So you're actually making Marines. And then you get in trouble for a lapse of judgment and you get busted down. And now they're telling you service limitations, you got to get out. I mean, to the average person, that would break them.
It would.
So tell me how you figured it out at that moment.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I was coming up on my the end of my contract. So I'm literally just, all right, what am I going to do next?
Now, I want to add to this, too, because you haven't mentioned it yet. You got kids.
I do.
Oh, gang of them.
I do.
This man is the original Nick Cannon.
Wow. Yes. So definitely. frugal, if you would say. So yeah, with kids, you really just got to figure it out. And I have my moments, just like any other man that's out there. He's just literally just trying to figure it out. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm trying to survive my damn self, and I got to provide for my kids. Am I really providing for my kids? I might have, my kids' moms, them, they're on my ass. They're like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And me, it's like, just staying out of my head and trying to, pretty much figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's like, what am I gonna do next? So getting out of the Marine Corps, I was like, all right, what am I gonna do next? Getting out of the Marine Corps, I ended up going into, the fast food industry, which was Burger King at the time. Went in there as started off as like an assistant manager. Got into that operation, and as, military, it's like, hey, I'm gonna jump in, I'm gonna do what I do. I was assistant manager for a short time, and then I ended up being the general manager. They gave me my own store. So I ended up running that. I turned the store, turned it around, doing that. It's just, but again, that just wasn't, it wasn't my niche. It just wasn't, just being in that industry. It was like, yeah, it was cool, but it just really wasn't, it wasn't there, So I ended up parting ways, with Burger King, and I moved back to Georgia. At the time, I was in North Carolina doing Burger King. I moved to Charlotte, was my last location that I moved. And then after that, I moved back home. Once I moved back home, that's when I dived in deeper into my degree. So that's when I finished up my degree in computer electronic engineering. Then I started my bachelor's program. And then in the mix of that, that's when I got into the warehouse sector. Jumped into that, do the same thing that I did. I'm a Marine. I'm finna come take charge. So once I jump into that, I start showing them my leadership traits that, I'm just known for. The VP came down and, he had a conversation with me and just had a conversation. And he was like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm just a QC guy, man. I just check these. Whatever. He's like, why are you not in a leadership position? Again, I just work here. That's it. So that was like, that's kind of weird. But, came in the next day. I don't know what happened, but I came in the next day and I was introduced as the new lead of the department that I had no clue what was going on about. So I'm like, huh? All right, cool. Another fitful moment. So
Yeah.
I had to figure it out. So I got in, as what I do, I get into the system, figure out, what's going on, learn the people, learn, who's on the ground, what's been going on, what are the issues, and then, try to, put my perspective, how can we be better, of course, looking at all different aspects, what the customer want. What
You
the
did
client
what in
want.
the business world would call a SWOT analysis.
There you go.
Got
That's why
it.
you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
So that's what I do when I get into operation.
So you got your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats.
Absolutely.
And you did the whole piece to what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how the business world and the military world, right?
They work hand in hand.
How they work hand in hand.
Yeah, they do.
Because a SWOT analysis would be Marine Corps planning process.
Yep.
And you're doing problem framing. You're doing course of action development and course of action COA comparison and decision making, right? So you look at all these things, orders development, transition is the same thing as doing a SWOT analysis. So anyways, moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
That was nice.
Hey,
I know, you like that?
Hey, I know.
Drop
I
that
ain't gonna
gem
lie.
quick, girl.
I was listening to both you talk just now. That was nice.
I know a little something, something. He
I like
knows a
that.
little
I like
something,
it.
something.
Yeah.
So let's go.
So yeah, so that is something, what I did, and once I did that triggered the director that was out here in Texas, and he pretty much kind of liked what I did and offered me a position out here in Texas, and that pretty much kind of triggered me, or that pretty much kind of moved me out here to Texas, from that job, just being recognized from just being me and using the leadership and the traits and things, whatever that I learned from the Marine Corps. And that just brought me out here. Once I got out here in Texas, it was game on. There was no stopping to, the limitations of, what I can do. And this is just like an open market. So that company it was a recycling company, but that company ended up going down. So now I'm hit with another figure it the fuck out. What are you going to do? So it was either, all right, pack up and move back home, or do what you do best. And of course, you know what? I'm going to do what I do best. Mm-hmm. So I jump back into my bag again, and I'm like, all right, cool. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I still got something. I'm going back to school. So I went to UTI. I went to the mechanic school. So I went there, and I'm like, all right, cool. Marine Corp I still had my GI Bill. So I'm like, all right, I can still use my post-11 GI Bill, and I use that. And at the same time, for me to use the GI Bill, I could still look for me a job. I could still pay my bills. And I also was, getting disability for being out. So I'm like, all right, cool. I have a game plan. We got it. So put that game plan into play, and everything worked out. I was going to school, was getting my GI Bill, was also getting the Pell Grant, getting my disability. So again, I can focus on school, and then I can start kind of figuring out, hey, I'm gonna need a job eventually because this is gonna run out. Right? The military ain't gonna hold me forever. Mm-hmm. In the mix of that, putting out applications, I end up, landing a job, as a leadership position. I got into that position, and at the same. It's kind of love being in that moment, but at the same time, it's like two jobs called me at the same time. I had just started this one job, and they lowballed me, if you want to call it. But they told me what rate they was going to give me, and once I got into it, again, me, I'm very resourceful. So again, I'm gonna get in, and all right, you know what, I can figure my way out. I can move myself up, and I can do what I got to do. But at the same token, another job came in, and I'm like, oh. My loyalty ain't there with you just yet. And this person offered me way up to where I need to be. I have a whole family that I got to take for. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm moving. So I went over there and got with that company, and it was great. It was like one of the definitely it was a great move because I ended up getting with a leader that was over there that actually seen my worth and what I had. I got in and I started adding the things that I bring to the table, and he allowed me to be me, and we became great. He ended up departing, that company, and when he departed, it's great how this networking work, because once he left, he put in a good word for me for a new company that was coming here to Texas, and they was looking for a warehouse manager. Again, this is the top guy in the warehouse. So I'm like, what? Me? He was like, yeah. So I'm going to give you their contact information, and we're just going to go from there. I end up going through the interview process, going through the whole process, and I end up getting the job. Got into there. They was trying to show me their stuff, and I'm like, I'm killing it. I went up to the training for a week. I was done within a few days, and they was like, I said, yeah. I was literally teaching it back to them with this, but I was actually would change this, and I was going, so I was like, I do this. This is something that what I do. I got back, and I implemented all that. I set my whole warehouse up, from hanging the signs up, putting the lines down, bringing the stuff in, hiring the team. I was that. I was hiring the vendors. So new trucking companies come in, they want to get on. I got to see their paperwork, what you got, insurance, all this different stuff. Send it in. They get put on. We good to go. That was great. And then after that, I was like, all right, I'm doing freaking fast tax. I'm loving this. I'm learning stuff as well. Because, one thing that I picked up, what information you need, for us in the trucking. Because then, that's another thing that's man, if I ever want to get a truck, if I ever want to get a box truck or whatever, it's what information, what am I going to need? What do these people need? So as I'm in these positions, I'm picking stuff up and putting it into my box, constantly putting it into my box. Left there, and I end up getting another warehouse manager job with a motorcycle. I was into the motorcycle, so I'm like, this is it. I'm sorry, I love y'all, whatever, but I want to go over here. This is fun. I'm finna have fun, and it did. It was a totally different atmosphere. I got into the atmosphere, and it was man, everybody wanted to stab each other, and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? It's what happened? But again, using my leadership skills and who I am, I got in and I assessed, SWOT analysis, figure out, what needed to be changed, what needed to happen, and I did it. I changed some people around, moved some people, I promoted some people, and we end up coming from the last in the network to being almost the first in the network. It was counted out, and I went to the big meeting up in Boise, and they was like, no offense, but you're not gonna do it for about a year or two. You don't know me that well. You really don't. within 3 months, we was already bonusing. And it was like, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm just being me. One thing it is like, people, they won't say it, but definitely in the workplace, no matter what, like people definitely want structure. And that is just something that, I in the military, like we got to have structure. If you don't have structure, you don't have guidance, and you don't have a plan, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So it's like, that was the biggest thing that they was missing. They didn't have leadership that was over these departments. And the leadership that was there was the buddies. And it was like, no, that don't work. So again, just fixing different things and having conversation with different people and infiltrating myself inside into the whole operation. Now I can kind of figure out, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So got that done. That was great. Did that. Then pandemic hit. And things went haywire. It went crazy. We literally pretty much doubled or tripled into our sales when the pandemic hit, and orders were like bananas. Like they were just flying off the printer like there was no tomorrow. We were still old school at the time where the orders was coming off the printers and they wasn't coming on like the little handheld scanners that people have. So it was just like crazy. And if you miss a piece of paper, that's an order. So it was just trying to get people like, hey, please don't miss a piece of paper. It was just nuts. But all that stuff calmed down, and I don't know, it's just being in the corporate world. You're gonna get swept, and however which way it is gonna happen. But things came down, and they decided that I was not gonna be a part of the team anymore. And I was like, I'm not understanding. I'm like running one of the top operations. Like, what is going on? Like, are y'all serious? Like, what happened? And I remember the last question I asked, because I'm not going to beg. That's what I'm not going to do. I know my worth. That's what I'm not. I said, just quick question. Why? I just literally just want to know. He was like, well, that's because you just got behind. And I was like, we're in a pandemic. We're like we got like triple the orders. Everybody is behind. And I was like, that's it. But I ended up finding out I had another veteran that was actually up in corporate, and he was like mentoring me at the time. And eventually I had a conversation with him, and yeah, he finally came out and he was like, nah, it was something else. It wasn't nothing that you did. It was he was a fall guy, pretty much. And I was like, what? Wow.
So,
and that just gave me a bad taste.
So that gave you a bad taste. You moved on to the next job.
Yes, which was, I was out for about a year, and just being totally transparent, that when they did that to me, being where I was at, I never got knocked down to that point, like just out of the blue off, like, man, I see if I did something wrong, like really cool, I'm with it, but just to get hit, and it's like, wow. So that happened. And then I went over to like, after a year being out, finally get my head together, and I went over to Wayfair. Finally, like I said, got into the door of Wayfair. Same thing, I got into Wayfair, and I'm like, all right, you know what, I can do this. I went in lower than what I was. No issues, what I mean. I'm gonna do what I normally what I do. So got into the operation, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is nothing. And same thing was happening. I was getting the respect of the people that was around. I was showing them, hey, this is me. This is what I bring to the table. This is my type of leadership. And again, we was literally running a tight shift. We had one of the best shifts that was there, and that was hand down. Other leaders, different leaders that was there can contest to it. Whatever that, hey, anytime they had issues or there was problems, whatever, hey, go ask Ken. Go ask Kenny, and he'll help you out. Whether it's administrative stuff or it's, hey, I have a person that I got to get ready to walk out of here, man. How do you terminate?
So they were looking at you as the leadership, but
Yes.
then you got to a point where
Yeah, and then I got to the point to where my direct supervisor moved on, and he pretty much like, hey, you're the next in line. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's dope. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. That's word. Once he left, I continued to keep on doing what I'm doing, staying into like the manager's role, doing that, going to the meetings, helping everybody out. And then it came down to, I think I ended up finding out, I was like, hey, the position was out, like closed position. But then it was like, hey, a certain person was coming back. And I was like, I ain't talking about the person that I think you're talking about. And I was like, going where? Not over me, what? But then it all came down. I was like, yeah, that person came back that left on their own, and now they coming back. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I ended up approaching, my superiors, and, the feedback that I got back from them was just unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? From anybody in a leadership position, it was just outrageous. You know what I mean? To sit and call yourself a leader, but yet you literally tell a person that's on your team that, hey, I didn't recognize that you was, doing work, and that you wanted to advance, and that you wanted to, be something else other than whatever that we tell you to do. And I'm like, wow. And it's like both of y'all literally sit in my face and tell me like, oh, I didn't know that you was interested. And I was like, wow. And that just added more and more to me, even like just, thinking of like corporate, and just thinking of just people, running, controlling, any aspects of my life. So that just pushed me more and more to, the things that, what, I need to be doing something on my own. Like, I really need to be, controlling my own aspects. I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, but I really need to be doing something on my own, because this is not going to be it.
So then during this time you met back up with me.
Yeah.
I came out here.
That was kind of, yeah.
I came out here, right? Took over Self-Made Training Facility in Dallas. Me and you live 6 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
Which was very odd, because we didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
I don't know how you did that.
I don't know how
right?
you
So
did
we're literally 6 minutes away from each other, our houses. And then, of course, me and you started talking, and then you told me you can come fix some of the things that I needed to be fixed at Self-Made Training Facility Dallas. I'm going to speed up this whole little piece real quick. Now, basically, I told you, hey, we should do this full time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should be doing this on your own, right?
Yeah.
And then so you have the thought process of leaving.
I did.
And then I gave you the thought process of like, look, man, I can show you how to build your own business and actually do this on your own. And then now you were at a point where you were very nervous about leaving corporate. How are you going to continue to make the money that you needed to make? But in true Maurice fashion, as we get to know you, through this whole storyline, is you've always known how to figure it the F out.
That's been me.
So now here we stand with your company, which you have your shirt on.
Of course.
A Better Way Maintenance, which is, me and you teamed up. I handled the business side, you handled the labor side, and as soon as at some point you'll be taking over the whole business, and I'll be walking away. But the fact of the matter is that we're able to build this thing from the ground up,
absolutely,
the way you want it to be done.
And it's a great feeling to be in those shoes. What I mean? I look back, it's like, was it a journey? I learned a lot. And that's one thing that I would never, ever take away, that I learned something from every situation that I'm in. So I put that in my bag.
Are you scared? Be honest.
There are moments to where it's like, man, like, these jobs going to come through, these contracts going to come through. But, one thing that, I've learned just being away from corporate and just being into this and just being on a great team and having a great mentor, man, you got to keep faith. And that's one thing that just keeps me going, even those days where it's like, man, this is rough. And, bills don't stop. So they keep coming in. And as you see negatives, they keep coming out. And you're like, man, ain't enough going in, ain't too much going out. But you understand there's a plan. And, stick to the plan, and just keep believing. And that's just one thing that, one thing that I always tell myself, and I always tell a lot of people that I meet, my biggest thing that I tell myself all the time is get out your way. And that's my biggest motto is, you don't blame nobody else. Nobody is your fault for, the reason why you did this, the reason why you did that. Look into the mirror. Before you point your finger at anybody else, look into the mirror. Get out your way.
Can you tell the crowd that one more time? Say that. That's a gem.
That's huge.
I want you to go ahead and tell that to the crowd.
Definitely. Get out your way. If you believe it, if you have it, don't doubt yourself. Don't let anybody tell you, that you're not worth what you already have. And a lot of people second guess, what they bring to the table. And it's like, you bring a lot, but you don't want to work for it. It's going to take work. All you do is take work, and the biggest thing, get out your way. Step to the side, and then let the process be the process. That's it.
So we're gonna build this bad boy up, a better way maintenance, and I have nothing but it's gym maintenance. So we're actually maintaining gym facilities. Whether it's equipment, doing installs, doing tear downs, or even replacing equipment. So basically taking out that whole long process of getting equipment taken care of. But now we come into play, and we can get it done in a faster, more efficient way.
Absolutely.
And so.
In a better way.
In a better way. You like that?
it.
Yeah. So, Maurice, man, we could talk for days.
Man.
I love this conversation.
I love it.
I appreciate you. I definitely want to have you back later in the future to talk about the progress of where we're at. But, I appreciate you sharing your story. And if you can give one final thing to the crowd to get them to understand how, you figured it the F out, what would you tell them?
If you have a dream, go for it. Don't be scared, and just keep believing in yourself. That's one thing that I always continue to keep telling myself, and I push that through myself and through my kids. Go get it, no matter what. Nobody can stop you except for you. And if you ask any of my kids, what do they tell you? No one can stop you except for you. So just always remember that. My man.
All right. Well, appreciate you, brother. And remember, when you're out there, please follow you on A Better Way Maintenance on Instagram. We are having a website coming out here pretty soon, but right now, Better Way Maintenance on Instagram. Definitely like, share, subscribe to this podcast, Project Fitfo, so you can watch this over and over and over again. Tell your friends about it, please. And when all else fails, remember to figure it the F out, and we're out of here.